Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Andre. Good morning, everybody.
Thanks very much. It's very nice because last week when I did it year 6, so it's nice to know that you're nice and awake. Right, our music assembly today are songs inspired by books because tomorrow is World Book Day. So, what's going to happen? It's going to be a bit like a quiz. So I've got 7 songs. Okay, 7 songs. I'm going to play each song, and you've got to try and guess what book the song is based on. So each of these songs is based on a book or a play. All right. So go through, have a little listen. We might not hear the whole song, so it'll be really long. But you've got to try and guess what book the song is based on. All right. Think you can do that?
Yes.
Right. Book number 1. I knew it'd do that. This isn't the song, this is an advert. Right.
There was a time when I was alone, nowhere to go and no place to call home. My only friend was the man in the moon, and even sometimes he would go away too. Then one night as I closed my eyes, I saw a shadow flying high. He came to me.
Listen, there's a lot of clues in this one. It starts off quite easy, this challenge.
Wanted to talk for a while. He said, Peter Pan, that's what they call me. I promise that you'll never be lonely. And ever since that day, I am a lost boy from Neverland, usually hanging out with Peter Pan. And when we're bored, we play in the woods, always on the run from Captain Hook. Run, run, lost boy, they say to me, away from all of reality.
Right. Nice easy one to start with. Nice to see some of you singing as well. It's not that old, that song. I remember, not my class last year, but the year before, we used that song to make some Sainsbury's adverts because we thought it was such a cool song. Right, Lulu? Peter Pan. How do you know, Lulu? It's based on Peter Pan. What gives it away?
Because it says Peter Pan in it and it says Captain Hook.
It says Peter Pan, it says Captain Hook. What else is it saying there? Flynn?
Lost Boys Neverland.
Yeah, the Lost Boys, Neverland, all sorts of links to Peter Pan. You're absolutely right. Does anyone know who wrote the book Peter Pan? Who wrote the book Peter Pan? Ooh, it's a very old book. J.M. Barrie wrote the book Peter Pan. And the song's called Lost Boy by Ruth B. And when I was doing my research last night, I found out that there used to be a thing called Vine. And what you did is you used to record 6-second videos. And what she did, she recorded a 6-second video of her singing that song. And as she kept recording 6-second videos and adding it all together until she had a whole tune. And that's how she made that song, by doing just 6 seconds. And it was a big hit. Very, very old book by J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan. Of course, it's been made into lots of films. Some of them good, some of them not so good. Hook's probably my favourite. I do like Hook.
Yeah, it's a good
Hook's a good one. Right, next one. Not so easy, this next one. I'm not even sure that the lyrics give this one away. It's beautiful.
Is it a kind of dream?
song, when I was would have been younger than you, I would have been about 7. That was the first record I ever bought. So back in my day, when I was young, we didn't have streaming services like Spotify or Apple. We had to go out and buy records, because tapes weren't even made by then, or CDs. That was the first record I ever bought, Bright Eyes, by Art Garfunkel. Great song, very, very beautiful. Mark, what do you think?
This was in the quiz we did over the half term with the Emoji Movie.
Oh.
I think it's Pete's Dragon.
You think it's Pete's Dragon?
Yeah.
Okay, nice guess. Matthew?
Winnie the Pooh, because you saw the animals, it's nature.
Love it.
Quite a nice
So you think it might be Winnie the Pooh because you saw the animals, you saw nature. Nice thinking, I like that.
most of them just
Flynn? Sorry? Go on then. Yeah. Like that. Peter Rabbit, good. Ooh, do you know what? It's some really, really good guesses. It's not Peter Rabbit and it's not Winnie the Winners, but you're really, really close. Really close. Mark.
Yeah, like Flynn just said, Bambi.
It's not Bambi, no.
The Jungle Book.
It's not the Jungle Book either. Do you know what? It's from a book called Watership Down, which is possibly one of my favourite books. It is one of the, you're absolutely right, it's one of the saddest books ever.
Most of them die.
They do. It was made in 1972, and it's a story about rabbits that are living in these fields, and it's really lovely, but then all these men come along and start to build, and so they've got nowhere to go, and so they go off on an adventure to find somewhere to live, and they find Watership Down, which is a real place, Watership Down, and they get there, but on their way, they do some of the rabbits do die. Yeah, and it's really sad. It's really sad, especially when that song comes on. Every time I watch the film, it makes me cry. But it's a brilliant book as well.
What was it called?
Sorry?
What was it called?
What, the book? The book, Watership Down. It's a really, if you do get to read it, it is a really, really lovely book. And the film is brilliant too, but it's quite hard to watch because it is quite sad. Although the BBC did make a version of it a couple of years ago, which isn't as good. It was animated, computer animation, but it wasn't quite as good as the original one. The original one was really good. But yeah, it's sad. Yes, Mark?
With the animation you spoke of, I think I've seen like the start of it when one of the rabbits is having this dream of the excavators coming and
That's
digging,
it.
and then he tells like his father or something, and he doesn't believe it.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on, Mark. You're right. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. Right, next one. Can't remember this one myself.
Well, I'm out to see the wizard in his castle land, and I never once have known, and I do not know him still, because his face is magnificent, but you'll never see his hands, and the way he throws his voice around, I don't know where he stands. Well, I'm off to see the wizard with his curtain and his crowd, but my hands are not trembling and my head is not bowed, 'cause I'm not looking for any answers, no truths to be revealed. All that I am asking is to show me something real, 'cause I'm not on no yellow brick road, got a mind on hiding guts of my own. I'm not looking for one to set me free. I'm not on no yellow brick road, I find my own way home. I'm just looking for someone to walk with me.
Ooh, I like that one. Got a bit of a country feel to that one. Joseph Lamana. The Wizard of Oz. What makes you think that? Because it has the yellow brick road in it, yes. Any other clues? The Wizard, brilliant. Does anyone know what The Wizard of Oz, that's the name of the film. Does anyone know what the book is called? Ooh. Is it different? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Flynn, it's not
Oh,
called...
the yellow brick road was adventures.
Oh, no, it's not Adventures of Oz. I
think it has Oz in it.
It does have Oz in it, you're right. Joseph?
Journey to Oz.
Not James Oz. Yellow Brick Oz. I like that thinking. It's not... Yeah. Go on, sorry. Does she? Oh, interesting. Wow. It's a very, very old film, but it's such a good film. Mark?
I think travelling to Oz.
Do you know what, Mark? It's actually called... I'm getting the right mouse button. It's called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
The Wonderful Wizard.
It just puts in the wonderful part. So it's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And it is a classic book. So, and the film, of course, was 1939. So the film, 80 years old. Very old. But it's such a great book. Yes, Lily Lou? Do you know what, Lily Lou? I actually dressed up as Dorothy once too. And it was when I was a teaching assistant at Cows Primary School, we did a play at Christmas time, The Wizard of Oz, and I was Dorothy. So I had to dress up in a dress, and I had some old school shoes like this, and I had to paint them red. And I like the red shoes. But of course, there's no place like home.
Did you have to shave?
No, yes. Yeah, I did, yes. Yes, Lily Lou. Shh. Well, I can't hear Lily Lou. Thank you. Sorry, Lily Lou.
When I had my birthday,
Yeah.
on the bowling alley, I had my birthday cake, the yellow brick road with lovely shoes under.
Really? Wow. That there is the cover of the original version of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. It's like a first edition, so if you ever found that in a shop,
You're rich.
like a charity shop, buy it, okay? It's worth a lot of money.
Buy it and sell it. Buy it, read it, sell it. No, buy it, sell it instantly.
Oh! Who's that I see walking in these woods? Why, it's Little Red Riding Hood. Hey there, Little Red Riding Hood. You sure are looking good. You're everything a big bad wolf could want. Listen to me, Little Red Riding Hood.
Love it big.
I don't think little big girls should go walking in these spooky old woods alone. What big eyes you have, the kind of eyes that drive both mad. So just see that you don't get chased. I think you ought to walk with you far away. What sort of lips you have, they sure to look somewhat bad. So until you get to Grandma's place, I think you ought to walk with me any day. I'm gonna keep my sheep suit on until I'm sure that you've been shown that I can be trusted walking with you alone. Oh. Little Red Riding Hood, I'd like to hold you if I could, but you might think I'm a big bad wolf, so I won't. Oh.
Sounds like you that little bit, Lily Lou. Ow! Love that one. Nice and easy though. Nice and easy. Molly? How did you know? Right, let me do this to Molly. How do you know, Mom? absolutely right. Do you know who wrote Little Red Riding Hood? Yeah, the song, it was Sam, Sham and the Pharaohs, which I think this was probably their only hit. But I did quite enjoy it. It was quite a good song. Does anyone know who wrote the book? Or the story? Little Red Riding Hood. Anyone having a guess? Or it may have been. It was a long, 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 long time ago. And of course it's been written and rewritten and readapted lots over the time. Mark?
This may sound a bit far-fetched, the same person who did The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes was J. Carroll.
Oh, nice. Good thinking. But it's not. Flynn, what did you say?
The Brothers Grimm.
It was the Brothers Grimm, yeah. It was the Brothers Grimm. Some of the early Brothers Grimm stories were very grim. Very grim indeed. It was a European fairy tale about the big bad wolf. Back to the 10th century. So a long, long, long time ago, that story was written. It's a brilliant story. Staff this morning, Mrs. Napier said to me, Mr. Andre, you better have this song on there. I said, yes, Mrs. Napier. To stop Kate Bush there, doesn't it, Kate? It almost seems sacrilege. This one's tricky. This one is tricky. Flynn? It is Wuthering Heights. Do you know anything about Wuthering Heights? Do you know who wrote it?
There's a house in
It is Three Sisters, yeah. Do you know what, you're right? Yeah, we were going to look at that tomorrow actually. Tiny, tiny books. I said that to staff about these miniature books. The Bronte sisters. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was Emily that wrote Wuthering Heights, which is a brilliant story. They did. You're absolutely right. They have made films out of it. Made all sorts out of it. And Kate Bush, she read the story Wuthering Heights when she was 16 or 17, and she decided she liked it so much that she wrote that song when she was 18. She was 18 years old and she wrote that song, and it's tiny, it's an absolute classic. But by that time, she had written hundreds of songs already. Kate Bush is amazing. If you ever get to hear any of her music. Babushka is absolutely right. Flynn, I'm loving your Kate Bush knowledge. Sorry? Your mum's an old music fan. That's good.
She's got a whole bookshelf full of records.
Has she? Oh, do you know what? I need to speak to your mum. Fantastic. Now, I love that you've got that knowledge. Brilliant. I love Wuthering Heights. It's such a good tune. Right, next one. Who's going? Oh, there we go. Bit of information about Wuthering Heights. 1978, she released it, so I'd have been 7 years old. A 7-year-old Mr. Andre fell in love with Kate Bush in that video. Woo! And it was 1847 that it was written by Emily Bronte. It was Emily Bronte. 1847. So, Almost 200 years ago. Crazy.
Oh, I know this bit. Everyone knows this. This is War of the Worlds.
Timothy.
I see a lot of terrorists.
Yeah.
Terrorists.
Lily. Do you know who wrote War of the Worlds? Anyone know who wrote War of the Worlds? Very famous book. Do you know what? Going back to that, so it was an album which was made by a man called Jeff Wayne, and it was his first album, and he read the story of War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
Yes.
Again, it's a very, very old story. And it's about aliens invading Earth, and he created this album, this soundtrack album. It's music and people talking, and it tells the story of All the World. And it was the first album I bought. Albums were like big records, and it's brilliant. It tells a story through song and through talking. It's just, if you could ever listen to it, I've got it on vinyl now, so I've got it on record still. If you listen to it, it's just brilliant. There's a song on there called Forever Autumn, which is one of my favourite songs in the world. And I probably have played it before. But it's H.G. Wells. And what happened back in the, I can't remember, it's the 30s or the 40s, is a radio station got hold of the play. It was made into a play. And they did it, they broadcast it on the radio, and people got so scared because they thought that aliens had really invaded the Earth. It was. They thought they'd really invaded Earth when they hadn't. So they were really scared about it. That's a story about the War of the Worlds. Tommy, you liked it? Yeah, it's cool. If you could ever get to listen to it, it's on Spotify. You find it on there. You can listen to the whole thing. It's brilliant. It's so cool. There is a film version as well with Tom Cruise, but it isn't so good. If you can find the old film version, which is like this, with these sorts of effects, that one's better. Noah.
My dad had a book about this, and I think it's a similar book, but it's about like aliens come down to Earth, but instead of the humans destroying them, like crows destroy them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a similar CD player.
Yeah, you're right. One of the pictures, because there's like lots of illustrations in there. I can remember that. So these big aliens here, they crash down. There's like the big ones on walkers, and the aliens will peck the.
Yeah, they have one of the aliens shot a boat, and then
That's it.
Its lasers, and then at the end, crows came down and started like ripping the guts out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's really rude.
Yeah. Cool, though. Nice. They're brilliant pictures. Yes, guys. Shall I listen to Joseph? But it's brilliant. If you could, rather than watch the film, if you could read the book. But if you can't do that either, listen to the soundtrack by Jeff Wayne. It's just the best thing ever.
Yeah, read the book. It's the best part.
Yeah.
Read the book.
Yes, Joe, you remember now?
If you go back to the starting bit,
Yeah.
there will be a picture
1897. So again, well over 100 years ago. And the album was made in, again, 1978. That's funny, isn't it? Kate Bush was 1978. The War of the Worlds album was 1978. So I would have been 7 years old. A 7-year-old Mr. Andre fell in love with that album. My brother used to play it all the time. If you're in my class, you would have listened to this song recently.
A love-struck Romeo, sing the streets of serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that he made. Playing the streetlight, steps out of the shade, says something like, you and me, babe, how about it? Juliet, hey, it's Romeo, you nearly gave me a heart attack. He's underneath the window, saying, baby, I'm my boyfriend's back. You shouldn't come around here singing up at people like that. Anyway, what you gonna do about it? Juliet, the dice was loaded from the start, and I bet, baby, you exploded into my heart, and I forget the movie song. When you're gonna realize it was just that the time was wrong, Juliet.
Right, nice and easy one. I love that song so much. Oh. Do you know what a Flynn's a strong? It's from the 80s. It is from the 80s, from a band called Dire Straits. Fantastic as well. What is the song? What's it based upon? Go on, Noah.
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo. Who can tell me the story of Romeo and Juliet? What happens in Romeo and Juliet? Quite a sad story. Well, Mark, what happens in Romeo and Juliet?
There are two kingdoms, both hate each other, they're at war. One of the prince and the princess from each of separate kingdoms fall in love and secretly meet and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But when they want to have a real meeting thing,
Yeah.
Juliet pretends she is dead and she goes to a particular place where Romeo is.
Yeah.
But Romeo finds out she's dead and she's not, and then commits suicide.
Absolutely. It's a
And then having being so heartbroken of Romeo's dead, Juliet just gets some poison. Gut, gut, gut.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a terrible story of love, of betrayal, family. Matthew,
Mark missed out some bits.
go on and tell me the bits he missed out, Matthew.
They're different houses.
Yeah.
Families who absolutely hate each other.
Shh, boys, listen.
So someone else who dies. Romeo gets into a fight with someone over Juliet and runs him through with his dagger or sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that got the two houses fighting again, even though they were always equal.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So basically, they get married in secret. And Juliet, she thinks, you know, we're going to have to be together forever, so we're going to fake our deaths. So she pretends that she's dead, and the message that she sends to Romeo to say this has happened doesn't get to him. It's not a text message or anything like that.
She sends him a mum.
She sends, and he doesn't do it. Of course,
He tries to, but Romeo doesn't listen.
Romeo doesn't listen. Thank you very much. Brilliant. And of course, when he gets there, he thinks that Juliet is dead, and he's heartbroken. So he takes his own life. And then because Juliet wakes up and finds that Romeo is dead, she's heartbroken, takes her own life. So there's no winners in the end.
And then the kingdoms forge together. And
Yeah.
then they make
Do you know what? You're absolutely right, Noah. Because at the end, they come and they think, why has this all happened? This has happened because we were fighting. And they come together and they're friends. So brilliant. There is a winner in the end, the families. But it takes a lot. Right. I hope you managed to enjoy that. See you later.